Hello dear viewers and welcome to a new episode of Games and Names. Our sport for this episode is the sport of rowing, and our featured star is Egypt's national team player and African champion Mohammed Hossein. So let's get to know more about the sport of rowing and about our continental champion Mohammed Hossein in the upcoming minutes of Games and Names.
I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess.
Rowing, often referred to as crew in the US, is a sport whose origins reach back to ancient Egyptian times. Ever since the earliest recorded references to rowing, the sporting element has been present. An Egyptian funerary inscription of 1430 BC records that the warrior Amenhotep II, or Amenophis II, was also renowned for his feats of oarsmanship. In the Aeneid, Virgil mentions rowing forming part of the funeral games arranged by Aeneas in honor of his father. In the 13th century, rowing involves propelling a boat, a racing shell, on water using oars. By pushing against the water with an oar, a force is generated to move the boat. The sport can be either recreational for enjoyment or fitness, or competitive when athletes race against each other in boats. There are a number of different boat classes in which athletes compete, ranging from an individual shell called a single scull to an 8-person shell with a coxswain called a coxed 8. Modern rowing as a competitive sport can be traced to the early 10th century, when races were held between professional watermen on the River Thames in London, United Kingdom. Often prizes were offered by the London guilds and livery companies. Amateur competition began towards the end of the 19th century with the arrival of boat clubs at the British public schools of Eton College, Shrewsbury School and Westminster School. Similarly, clubs were formed at the University of Oxford, with a race held between Brasenose College and Jesus College in 1815. At the University of Cambridge, the first recorded races were in 1827. The International Rowing Federation, Fédération Internationale des Sociétés d'Aviron, abbreviated FISA, is responsible for international governing of rowing, and it was founded in 1892 to provide regulation at a time when the sport was gaining popularity. Rowing is one of the oldest Olympic sports, though it was on the program for the 1896 Games. Racing did not take place due to bad weather, but male rowers have competed since 1900. Women's rowing was added to the Olympic program in 1976. Today, only 14 boat classes race at the Olympics. Each year, the World Rowing Championships is staged by FISA, with 22 boat classes raced. In Olympic years, only the non-Olympic boat classes are raced at the World Championships. The European Rowing Championships are held annually, along with the 3 World Rowing Cups, in which each event earns a number of points for a country towards the World Cup title. Since 2008, rowing has also been competed at the Paralympic Games.
أنا اسمي محمد حسام عباس، ابتديت اللعبة دي من 2006 5/12/2006 يوم خميس، أنا فاكر ده.
My name is Mohammed Hossein Abbas. I started rowing in 2006, exactly on a Thursday, the 5th of December, 2006. I remember this special day very clearly. So it's like 15 years now in rowing. I became a member of the national team soon to be crowned Arab and African champion. I also participated in a World Cup in 2015 in Slovenia, where I finished 13th in Final B, and in a number of international tournaments.
دي عشق بالنسبة اللي بيحبها. حققت كل حاجة فيها ولسه طبعا في تاني.
I'm now a player coach. Rowing is a passion for those who practice it, and I am no exception. I'm very happy to take the path of coaching alongside playing at the moment, and I wish for a bigger base and a wider audience for my beloved sport.
بس بتمنى الناس برضو تيجي تشوف التجديف ده او التجديف ده عامل ازاي. انا شاركت مع المنتخب المصري، منتخب مصر للتجديف في 2015.
I also participated in a World Cup in 2015 in Slovenia, where I finished 13th in Final B, and in a number of international tournaments. I'm now a player coach. Rowing is a passion for those who practice it.
كان عندنا بطولة أفريقية حققت فيها المركز الثاني، بس خدنا الدرع كله أو الكاس بتاع يعني البطولة الأفريقية احنا منتخب مصر جابها. بعد كده بطولة عربية جبت فيها مركز ثالث. البطولات المحلية في مصر الحمد لله بطل جمهورية كذا مرة. كاس مصر لسه امبارح كسبان كاس مصر.
Just yesterday, I won the National Cup here in Egypt after winning the league several times. I can play both in the light and heavyweight categories. And my last prominent international appearance was in Italy in the Logo in 2019, where I reached Final B in single scull and Final C in the double scull in the heavyweight.
ونأمل ان اللعبة تزداد تطور وازدهار اكتر من كده ان شاء الله. أهم مواصفات لاعب التجديف لازم يكون إلى حد ما طويل.
A rowing athlete should ideally be tall with strong, long arms. Our sport is one of endurance mainly. You usually get selected to the national team following grueling tests that once you win key local competitions with an impressive showing, you get selected. Of course, the tests include qualifiers, competitions against your peers, and attempts to improve your time.
الجيم والكلام ده كله بيبقى العضلات طويلة، فيها تحمل جامد جدا، فيها قوة بدنية عالية جدا. البطولات المهمة في اللعبة عندنا المهمة قوي بيبقى كاس مصر وبطولة الجمهورية وقبل بطولة الجمهورية.
Our main competitions here in Egypt include the Cairo, the Alexandria, and the Ismailia Cups. Then comes the National Cup for the winners of the 3 respective cups in Cairo, Alex, and Ismailia, and the Grand National Championship then ensues for the triumphants. As for international tournaments, which usually begin around April, we have the Delogo Cup in Italy, which is then followed usually by the World Cup, held on 3 phases, before reaching the main stage, the final stage. And of course, most important of all, is the Olympic Games in the year of the Summer Olympics every 4 years.
بطولة العالم تمام. لو في اولمبيك جيمز بيبقى مرحله اولى وثانيه وثالثه اللي هي بيبقى فيها الكواليفيكيشنز بتاعه الاولمبياد، وبعد كده بنبتدي الاولمبياد او الموسم بيبتدي على الاولمبياد كل 4 سنين. عندنا التأديف بيتقسم نوعين. ما فيش حاجة ادفانسد عن حاجة خالص. بيبقى مثلا في تأديف سويب بيبقى ميداف واحد، وتجديف بيبقى سكال أو سكالينج. الميداف السويب
Rowing can be classified into two types, none more advanced or better than the other. We have the sweep and the scull. The sweep, you have rowers at the right and left that compete in doubles, quadruples, and eight rowers. Each rower has a single paddle. In the scull, each rower has two paddles. We compete in singles, doubles, and quadruples. Of course, rowers are classified into lightweight and heavyweight categories according to their weights, targeting the fairest possible competition. We can practice not only in open waters, but with an indoor rowing machine that acts as a simulator to actual rowing. Of course, there is a big difference between rowing and kayak, which are actually two different sports. In rowing, you have a boat with a seat and slide and reel, and you use paddles, and your main goal is to move straight forward forcefully and strongly. While in the kayak, you have a canoe with a seat, you move forward and sideways with a totally different style, using the waists with agility. So it's obvious it requires a different type of athlete, perhaps a more agile rather than a more strong one.
بيبقى الجدفة بنتحرك قدام واسحب القدفة جامد. الكاياك بيبقى انا قاعد في مركب فيها كرسي، والويست بتاعي بيبقى شغال ورجليها مفرودة بتتحرك، بس مش زي التجديف. التجديف بيحرك جسمي كله.
On the regional and continental levels, Egypt is first in the Arab world and Africa, while globally, we once finished 10th in the Olympics after participating in Final B. Of course, our legend Ali Ibrahim, may God rest his soul, achieved unprecedented results, including Mediterranean champion and world number 2. We also saw Noor and Abdul Khalid achieving well in the global scene, though no one has yet matched the results of the late Ali Ibrahim.
لعب معانا، وعبد الخالق جاب العاشر عالم. واللعبة المفروض هي بتنهض، بس طبعا الكورونا والحاجات دي كلها أثرت. والله هو دلوقتي في أكاديميات فتحت وكده
I believe the sport is progressing in Egypt, but we've had difficult times recently due to the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Yet we still have a lot of private rowing academies that have mostly been established recently, working in full force and helping attract rowers from the age of 14 and up to 60 and even 70, many of whom practice every day, thus creating a wider base in Egypt. Sport for sport.
الدايرة كانت مقفولة، دلوقتي الدنيا ابتدت تتعرف وناس كتير قوي ابتدت تيجي، ومفروض في انتشار ان شاء الله على طول. طبعا احنا عارفين او زي ما حضرتك عارف الكورونا وقفت الدنيا خالص، بس بالذات اول ما ابتدت والدنيا قفلت.
As for competitions, we are still in the preparation phases as we are exercising mainly fitness and gym and some rowing to build up speed, but we are still awaiting a full reopening as the corona situation improves, hopefully.
الحمل ده بيقل وبزود السرعات والكلام ده كله، فهي اكيد طبعا اثرت مش على مصر بس، طبعا على العالم كله. احنا في التجديف عامة طبعا كل واحد ليه دور، لازم يكون في سينكرونايزيشن مع بعض او
Synchronization and harmony is very important in our sport, especially when the boat has 2, 4, or 8 rowers and not just a single rower. Each one has to know his role by heart and stick to the plan. Learning and perfecting the right technique is the key to success in our sport, just like in any other. And in our sport, that is to get power in the water, the road to success.
ألف ب تكنيك. كل ما امشي تكنيك كويس هعرف احط الباور كويس في الميه، لكن لو ما اتعلمتش تكنيك كويس مش هعرف، يعني هتعب على الفاضي بمعنى اصح. فهو فنياته عاليه جدا التجديف. تمام. انا طبعا كان
The one goal I did not achieve was the Olympics, though I'm satisfied with my achievements locally, regionally, continentally, and my appearances globally. And my main goal and hope now, after succeeding in my practical life, and with the new coaching experience I am embarking on, is never to quit sports. It is to continue to practice rowing and practice sport in general for my entire whole life.